If you have a thermostatic shower mixer similar to this and you find that there isn't much water coming out of the spout here, it's probably due to collection of deposits around here by the filter and around there, which was the case with this one. So I've cleared all the deposit that was in there now, and what I've got is I've got a bit from a hose. It's a push-on one, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to connect it to it and put the actual garden hose on it and make sure that enough water is flowing through both of these one by one. So I'll do that in a sec. So all I'm going to do is just screw this on and just tighten it by hand, and that's enough. And then all I'm going to do is just push the garden hose onto that and turn it on. Push that on and that's it, locks in, and I'll just turn on the hose. Oops. And you can see the flow is actually quite good, so I'm going to do the other side now. Just going to do the other side, unscrew this and transfer it onto the other side. Just tighten by hand, that's enough. Just push on the hose. That's it. And just turn on the tap. You can see it's a good amount of water coming out of that, pressure coming out of that, so I can put that back on now. I'm now going to replace this thermostatic shower mixer with the one where I cleared the deposit from. All we need to do to take this off is just to undo this nut and that nut. But before we do that, we have to make sure that the cold water and hot water feed to this is actually shut off. If you've got a system where you've got a hot water tank, hot water cylinders, and you've got a cold water tank somewhere, you need to turn those off from there. If you have a combi boiler and you just want to turn off the hot water, you can do it directly from underneath the combi boiler. All you need to do is go to this valve, which is the cold water mains feed, and just turn it clockwise to this locked, and then that shuts off the hot water throughout the house. Just turn on the hot water tap in the kitchen just to show you. That water is just the residual water that's in the pipes, so that should stop after a little while. That's stopped. Now going to the shower room, turn it to the hot water, and you can see that's just a little residual amounts coming out. So once that's done, we now need to shut off the mains because the combi boiler operates on mains water, so we need to shut down the actual mains from the actual stopcock that comes into the house. I'm not going to show you the stopcock being turned off because this, although I've done it before, this is actually hidden underneath the floorboards under here, so I'd have to take up everything out of here and actually get to the actual stopcock underneath the floorboards. So that's what I've got to do. So I won't show you that while I'm doing it, because I'll be very, very angry while I'm doing it, because this plumber who actually put it there really got on my nerves. Just don't understand why a plumber would actually put a stopcock underneath the floorboards in an understairs cupboard. So we have to clear out everything all the time to get to it in any emergency. Off camera, I took out the old dripping thermostatic shower valve. As I said before, all it was just a case of undoing this nut and that nut and then just pulling it away. And as you can see, I've replaced it with the actual thermostatic valve that where I cleared the debris from, and it's just a case of just doing the reverse of that, which is pushing it on, tightening it as much as you can by hand there, and then giving it maybe a half turn so you're not over tightening it. And now I'll show you how that's working. And after clearing the debris, just show you the power of the actual shower now. Let's turn it on. As you can see, it's back to how it was before. Good as new. As you've noticed, I've got two thermostatic shower valves, which I tend to interchange depending on what the problem is. Just a background on that is that this particular one is from Just Taps Plus, and it's relatively expensive, and it comes with a 10-year guarantee. After about 5 years, it started dripping a lot. So I contacted the company, and what they said is that I need to replace the on-off cartridge, and they gave me a quote. I think in total, including delivery and tax, came to about £23. But instead of doing that, my local Lidl was actually selling a thermostatic shower valve for under £30, so I got that instead. Came with a 5-year guarantee. So that's the background behind me having two. But had I known at the time that all you need to do is just take this off, which you can see I've undone the little screw that comes in there. I've taken off already, and this valve you can get virtually anywhere. So if I'd known that at the time, I could have just done that, because all you've got to do is just take, similar to what I showed you in the changing the actual valve for kitchen tap. It's just the same thing. You just undo it as you normally do. Undo that and screw that off. And as you can see, that's the valve. It's very, very similar to what you get for the kitchen mixer tap. The only difference with this one is that they call this one particular one a half turn, so you turn it a lot more than the kitchen tap. The kitchen tap is called a quarter turn. So what it means is that the half turn goes all the way from there to there, where if I replace it with a quarter turn, every time I turn it would only go from probably there to just around there. So you know, the markings all the markings won't be used, and that's the difference. But I could have relatively got a cheap replacement valve for it, and then I wouldn't have bought another thermostatic valve. So that's the background behind it. Also, talking about guarantee, is that the main parts of these valves is just the on-off cartridge and the thermostatic cartridge. Those are the main components of this. So if they tell you that it comes with a 10-year guarantee, in some cases you might see some that says 15-year guarantee, you need to find out what does it cover, because if they tell you it doesn't cover these components, then it's just not worth it, because those are the only components in there. If you take this off, you virtually see that there's nothing in between. There's actually nothing in between here. The only thing is just this valve, which I'll show you in a sec. So we'll just pull that off for this particular model, and you could unscrew that. I'd loosen it before. And this is what the thermostatic cartridge looks like. And if you look inside, the actual mixer valve, there's just nothing in there. So the only components really that's of any value is the thermostatic cartridge and the on-off cartridge. So you need to find out if your guarantee, this 10-year guarantee that you're paying for, does it cover these parts for over the 10 years? If not, then why spend all that money on a very expensive thermostatic mixer, shower mixer? Also, this thermostatic cartridge is quite expensive, so if anything went wrong with this, I don't think it'd be worth replacing it. Just get a new thermostatic shower mixer instead. This valve was causing the shower mixer to actually be dripping. So what I've done is I've cleaned it up by soaking it in some hot water and vinegar, and after that I sort of sprayed it with WD-40, washed it out, and that seemed to resolve the issue. So this now works, so you'll see it being tested later on. After soaking the valve in hot water and vinegar for about an hour, I then sprayed it with WD-40, and this seemed to have resolved the problem of drips. So I'm going to show you now. It's been under pressure with water for about 5 or 10 minutes now. I'm going to show you the tray underneath it. As you can see, it's dry. There's no drips in it, and I could show you that it's actually got water pressure on it. So that's good to go again. So when the other one goes, I can now change it and put this one on to replace it.